Hey, if you want to learn Adobe After Effects as a beginner, you are in the right place. This is the first lesson on the basic of the interface in Adobe After Effects. If you're looking for more, check out my Patreon, where I'll be adding new lessons of the course every week. Join now and start your journey with After Effects.
Before creating amazing things, let's take a look at the interface. Open After Effects and make sure the program's layout is set to the default. To do this, you can select it from this location or go to Window Workspace Default. If your interface looks different, you can click Default to reset its appearance. After Effects is a composition-based program, so first, we need to create a composition. There are several ways to do this. Click on the New Composition button in the panel. In the Project panel, click on the composition icon. Go to the Composition menu and select New Composition. Or use the keyboard shortcut, Ctrl+N or CMD+N on Mac. Here, you will create the composition by naming it, selecting the desired resolution, frame rate, and duration. All compositions are located in the Project panel, along with the files you can import and the folders you can create there. Rotation tool W or rotation tool used for rotating layers around their axes. Pan behind tool Y used for setting the anchor point. It allows you to set the point around which all transformations, such as rotation, will occur. Text tool T, a text tool that allows you to add text layers to your composition. Pen tool G, a pen tool used for drawing paths, vector paths. Rectangle tool Q, a tool for drawing rectangles. By holding down the click, you can choose other shapes like an ellipse, polygon, star, etc. These shapes can be used as shape layers or masks. This is a tool we'll often use to add shapes. Let's create our first object. It could be a square. Let's now take a closer look at the viewport. Here, we can preview the effects of our work. At the top, we see the composition name, and at the bottom, there are various buttons. Let's focus on the most important ones. In this area, we can adjust the size of the preview. It can fit the entire viewport or be displayed at a specific percentage. This panel is important because it allows us to set the preview quality. This is useful when the program starts to slow down. We can reduce the preview quality to speed up the program. Fast previews, this allows you to choose different fast preview modes, such as adaptive resolution, draft, or wireframe. This button toggles the visibility of the transparency grid. It lets you see which parts of the composition are transparent. Here you can turn the visibility of shape and mask paths on or off. Region of interest, this tool lets you select a specific area to render in the preview, which speeds up the rendering process. This controls the visibility of grids and guides. Take snapshot, this allows you to take a snapshot of the preview. Show snapshot, this enables you to compare the current image with a previously taken snapshot. This shows information about the time of the displayed frame in the image. More tools will appear when you enable 3D layer options. Draft 3D, this is a preview mode that allows for faster rendering of 3D compositions by simplifying some effects and rendering quality. Its main goal is to improve performance when working with complex 3D scenes. Here you can switch between different camera view settings, which is useful when working with 3D scenes. Multiple views layout, using this tab, you can enable previews from different viewpoints, which is also very useful when working with 3D objects. We have two more panels that we will discuss while creating our scene. We can delete the square. The first layer we will create is a white background. To do this, go to the menu at the top, Layer New, and select Solid, or use the shortcut Ctrl+Y. A window will open where you can set the layer's parameters, such as the name and resolution. You can use the Make Comp Size button to adjust the resolution to match the composition size. Finally, we need to choose the color of our background. Let's confirm these settings. After deselecting our background by clicking the point next to it at the bottom, we can use the pen tool to draw a straight line that will serve as the horizon in our animation. On the right side, in the Properties panel, we have information about this layer. Here, we can edit the color of the line, remove the color, or set a gradient. Fill controls the color that fills the object, but since we don't need it now, we set it to none. In this section, we can also round the ends and corners. Here, you can also change other parameters, such as position, scale, or rotation, which will affect our object. Below the Properties panel, we also have other panels, such as Align. We can collapse the Properties panel. If any panel is missing, we can enable it in the Window menu. Here, we have options to center our object. I forgot to mention that we can also change the thickness of the line through the Properties panel. We don't need a very thick line, it can be 2 or 6 pixels. These parameters can also be changed in the panel at the top. The Timeline panel shows all the layers in the composition and their properties. You can add, delete, and modify keyframes, and we also have access to all the transform parameters of the object and layer, among other things. We can control the visibility of layers in the preview, enable the visibility of only selected layers, and lock them using the lock icon. We can lock the background layer. On the right side, we have the timeline, where we can control at which second or minute the preview is shown. You can trim and move each layer using the mouse or keyboard shortcuts. Using the shortcuts Alt plus square brackets, we can trim the length of the layer. We can navigate the timeline using the mouse or keyboard shortcuts. You'll find all the shortcuts listed below in the description. I'll also rename our layer so it's clear what object is on it. Right-click and choose Rename. We can also change the color of each layer by selecting it here. We can control which part of the preview will be rendered at a given time. This can be done by grabbing the corners of the work area and manually adjusting it, or by using keyboard shortcuts, B to set the start and N to set the end. We can scale the timeline by holding Alt and scrolling with the mouse wheel.